So welcome to Unit 2, which is management. Today we'll see what are functions of management, what are importances of management, and planning and elements related to that. Now, first of all, let us understand what is management and how the functions of management works together, and individually how these functions acts upon, and what is the significance of management. First of all, we need to understand what is the significance, हम करते ही क्यों हैं, क्या जरूरत होती है, उसके क्या फायदे हैं, और वो कैसे रोल प्ले करता है डिफरेंट फॉर्म्स में. तो सबसे पहले हम डेफिनेशन देख लें. ये एक प्रोसेस है. मैनेजमेंट प्रोसेस के अंडर हमारे पास प्लानिंग, ऑर्गेनाइजिंग, स्टाफिंग, डायरेक्टिंग, कंट्रोलिंग, ये सारे प्रिंसिपल्स हैं. सॉरी, ये सारे डिफरेंट एलिमेंट्स हैं या फंक्शंस हैं जिसको हम कहें. और बहुत सारी एक्टिविटीज हैं जो कि इंटर रिलेटेड होती हैं और मैनेजमेंट के इर्द गिर्द ही घूमती हैं. ये हम डायग्राम में भी देख सकते हैं कि मैनेजमेंट के आसपास ही ये सारी चीजें घूमती हैं, क्योंकि जो पिवटल पॉइंट है वो मैनेजमेंट है और ये सारे फंक्शंस उन्हीं के हिसाब से काम करते हैं. नाउ फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल इज प्लानिंग. व्हाट इज प्लानिंग? इट रिफर्स टू द थिंकिंग part. In other words, I can say that it is a determination of future. कैसे आगे फ्यूचर में काम होगा, फ्यूचर कोर्स ऑफ एक्शंस क्या होंगे, so as to achieve the desired results. And under this planning, we assure that what should be done, how it should be done, and who is going to do it. Mane, who should do it? Now, before the start of a work, all these points should be clear, and the objective, so that the objective of the business can be achieved. Now, planning is basically a long process. It requires many stages to come across to achieve the desired targets. Number one is setting objectives. Number two is developing premises. Number three is identifying the alternative course of actions if one goes against the target achievement. And fourth is calculating or evaluating some alternative courses. And next is selection of an alternative. How what would be appropriate, what could be appropriate alternative. And the last one, the second last one, will be implementing that particular plan. And lastly, as we all know, it is the follow-up action. Now let us move to next, organizing. Now, what is organizing? We ourselves can understand with the word organize, way to manage it or organize it in a proper manner. Now, it refers to the harmonical adjustments between the various parts of the system, and so as to achieve the common goal and objective, as we know. Now, the primary function of the management, we know what was that. It was planning. Which kind of planning? The functional planning. And the structure of the roles need to be little framed on the certain level. Now, the process of creating that structure of roles is known as organizing. है ना? What are जैसे हम छोटे बच्चों को भी देखते हैं स्कूल में, हम इनको ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहे हैं, है ना? प्रॉपर ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहे हैं हम इनको. तो ऑर्गेनाइज करना कैसे होता है? ऑर्गेनाइज करना, है ना, ऐसा होता है ऑर्गेनाइज करना. तो उनको प्रॉपर लाइन में हाइट वाइज खड़ा कर दें, या क्लास वाइज खड़ा कर दें, या सेक्शन वाइज खड़ा कर दें. दैट इज ऑर्गेनाइजिंग, है ना? सिंपल एग्जांपल. नाउ, प्लानिंग इज जस्ट टू पुट सम आइडिया इन राइटिंग, बट to convert that idea into reality requires a group of people. That comes under planning itself. So planning is a process which starts from scratch to the planning. Planning should come to reality, है ना? Right from a basic idea on pen and paper, and then it has to be converted to reality. And for that, as I told you, we need a group of people. Now, further to streamline those activities using those group of people, organizing is really required. Now, how it is required under this whole project, it has divided into various small jobs to ascertain these jobs to a designated post, which will clarify a particular job which will be performed at particular post. And to unite various jobs into one department, one needs to clarify, the duties, or I could say the rights of an employee to be appointed at various positions. So, in short, roles and responsibilities has to be very clear while giving the joining to any particular employee at particular position in a particular department also. Okay, so many things has to be clear on the organization level. Is like, first of all, one has to identify the division of work, then one has to do the departmentalization of it, then one has to assign the duties to a particular department or a person, you know, and then finally one can definitely establish a reporting part and can correlate with the reports. Then comes the staffing. So how once we have organized and planned each and everything, we can go for staffing. Now, what staffing is all about? Staffing is simply, it's not always only recruitment. Staffing is much more than this. Now, it refers to fill and keep the positions filled with the people. Now, staffing has both the डायमेंशंस. फर्स्ट, एक तो लोग को फिल करना और उनको फिल किए हुए रखना. दैट इज द यू नो part of a staffing profile. Now, in this planning, ideas has to be given a proper written shape. On the other hand, organizing part we have done. Then, with the objective of converting these ideas into reality, we need to prepare the structure of various positions or post, what we call. So, post की जगह बन गई. Then after organizing the things, staffing means to deploy the people on those positions so that jobs can be performed. काम कराना चालू करें. In view of that, the success of the organization is really depends upon every employee's performance towards the assigned role, I could say. Assigned roles हो जो उनके उस पर डिपेंड करता है. Now, staffing function the importance of staffing the function increases even little more. Now, let us see what is more in it. First of all, it is divided into several sections. Now, first one is to estimate the manpower requirements. First of all, we need to estimate the manpower requirement. How we can do the estimation? अब सारे डिपार्टमेंट से जो जो काम कराना है डिपार्टमेंट्स और डिपार्टमेंट हेड्स को हमने बता दिया. देन वी कैन गो टू देम एंड आस्क देम हाउ मच मैन पावर यू नीड इनिशियली. वो हमको लिख के दे देते हैं, इस लेवल पे इस तरह का बंदा चाहिए, एंड दैट पर्सन हैज टू परफॉर्म दिस वे, दिस मच, so that HR people while staffing can specific post nikle with a specific profile, and what are exactly essentialness of the and desirability of the post that has to be mentioned so that वो specific domain का बंदा हमको मिल सके. Then recruitment is the process. Recruitment basically is the process, and selection again is the another part of the process. Similarly, there comes the placement and orientation, the finally admit day. Then we have a orientation भी होता है पूरे हर departments का. Then we will that person will meet in training and development section, because that person needs training, and we need to develop that person on particular profile, because domain अगर same भी है, experience बंदा भी है, तो orientation and training is very much required, because little change of technology and system of the organization uh, requires, one needs to adopt the system as well, and sometimes the machinery is different, so one needs to learn these things, and after that domain can be used. Okay, now comes the directing, the fourth point. It refers to instructing, guiding, communicating, and inspiring the people within the organization, and during that we need to follow certain things, like we need to supervise that, we need to have proper communication, we should have a proper leadership and a motivational character, motivation part also. Now then comes the fifth one, controlling. So controlling is, we can understand, once things are moving on a particular platform, then what we need to do, only we need to steer the things, or we need to control the things. So this way things has to be done. Now it refers to bringing the actual results. The purpose of this, obviously the purpose of this is to bring the actual results close to desired one. Actual डिजायर्ड वन माना जो हमको टारगेट में दिया था, ये लेके आना है, और एक्चुअल वन जो हमने पाया। सो हमारा पर्पस क्या है, जो एक्चुअल रिजल्ट्स हैं उनको, जो हमको बोला गया था वहां तक लाने के। नाउ अंडर दिस मैनेजर which himself is a monitor, you know that monitor has to get the things performed, or jobs performed according to the plans which has already set and even told to the people whosoever working under him. So he needs to check whether the quality and quantity of that particular job which is performed are in line with the predetermined standards which has been shared earlier. So that needs to be checked. Okay, then comes the deviations. Then comes the deviations. Then comes the deviations. So we need to, we need to check the deviation of it. Just a minute. We need to check the deviation of it. Okay. So what are the deviations? Obviously deviations वो है जो हमको preset standards बताए हुए थे desired quality के, quantity के, अगर उनसे हम deviate करते हैं, जो actual results achieve हुए हैं तो deviate करते हैं अगर, तो वो deviations, इस तरह की चीजों को deviations कहते हैं। अब deviations को दो तरह से take up किया जाता है कि rework करके अगर क्या उनको match किया जा सकता है, अगर किया जा सकता है तो definitely उसको फिनिश्ड गुड्स में लेना फ्रूटफुल रहता है, अदरवाइज वो उसको स्क्रैप कर दिया जाता है। सो दीज आर द कंट्रोलिंग पैरामीटर्स इन द इंस्पेक्शन पार्ट। नाउ देयर आर 5 मेन स्टेप्स through which we used to do that controlling. First of all is one has to set the performance standards. First of all, set the performance standards. Then is the measurement of actual performance, second stage. Now third stage is to compare the actual performance with the preset standards, and fourth one is to analyze the deviations, how much deviating it from the preset standards, and finally to take up the corrective action, whether it can be again with little rework, if it can be, that product can be taken in the finished goods, or there you could not do anything. So that has to be checked, and accordingly you need to take up corrective actions over the same. Okay, so now let us understand what is importance of management. So what is the importance of management, and how to how it signifies the management, especially in modern business era. Now, how in modern business era, how uh, it will be helpful, that has to be seen. So first one, as we can see, what is the first one? Accomplishment of the goals. Now, what are the accomplishment of the goals? And this importance of management uh, towards the modern business era, how these points are going to help us using the management. Now, management has to determine the goal of the organization, we know, and that goal will be subdivided further into, the sections of the goal, which which has been given or allotted to various departments or functional groups. So, combinedly or unitely, it will be a one goal. Otherwise, it will be a specialized. The goal के जो छोटे छोटे वो हैं, जो parts हैं, उनको डोमेन लेवल पे डिवाइड कर दिया जाता है वेरियस डिपार्टमेंट्स में या फंक्शनल ग्रुप्स में. Now these goals has been definitely communicated to each and every employee with the full cooperation. So are all organizational activities are directed towards the organizational objectives. So the clear-cut definition has to have essential for the success of every organization, that what needs to be accomplished, what needs to be accomplished, that we have to look into and see into primarily. Then comes the effective utilization of resources. Then comes the effective utilization of resources. So management has to ensure the optimum utilization of resources. Effective in the sense कि वो उनको दिखे. Effective utilization मैंने एक होता है मैक्सिमम यूटिलाइजेशन, एक होता है मिनिमम यूटिलाइजेशन, एक होता है इफेक्टिव यूटिलाइजेशन, या जिसको हम ऑप्टिमम यूटिलाइजेशन भी कहते हैं. कि मतलब इसको हम कह सकते हैं कि जिसमें हमको प्रोडक्टिविटी मिलती है विद मिनिमम इनपुट, उस मिनिमम इनपुट के अगेंस्ट हमको मैक्सिमम आउटपुट लेना है. सो दैट इज optimum here. So that planning and organization management has to estimate all kind of waste and efficiency of the production in all kind of business operations. One can even do at the machine level also, जो industrial engineer करते हैं. मशीन लेवल पे भी वो उसकी एफिशिएंसी, उसका वेस्टेज, उसका प्रोडक्टिविटी, वो सब प्रोडक्टिव आवर्स, नॉन प्रोडक्टिव आवर्स, वो सब कैलकुलेशंस एंड इंडस्ट्रियल इंजीनियर हैज टू डू to check the effective utilization of the resources, and which leads to help us in effective working of the business as well. Now the third one is the to order to get order to efforts, है ना. Now management has to deal with the uh, integration between the human resource and the non-human resource. Now what are non-human resource? Machineries, material handling equipments, and there are many other things which are termed as non-human resources. And human resources, we know we are the human resources, जो मशीन ऑपरेटर्स हैं, इंजीनियर्स हैं, स्टाफ है, टेक्निकल स्टाफ है, मैनेजरियल लेवल पे लोग हैं. These comes under human resources. Now in order to achieve the management has to do the integration, उन दोनों का integration करके use करना पड़ता है ना. Now it directs and coordinates the activities of individual and groups in use of materials, methods, and machines, which gives and it gives the you know it gives the endeavor of different groups also. Okay, now next one is, what is sound organization? What is sound organization? Just a minute. So what is sound organization? One has to see. Management establishes sound organization. What is sound organization? Organization की जो प्लानिंग्स हैं और गोल्स के अचीवमेंट्स हैं और कैसे गोल अचीव होंगे, स्ट्रक्चर्स कैसे होंगे, पोजीशंस कैसी हैं, ये सारे डोमेन्स कैसे हैं, ये सारे मैनेजमेंट हैज टू लुक. इफ these things are taken care of, then and only then one can say that is management has established the sound organization, because one has to be clear with what are the desired objectives, what are the desired responsibilities, and whether we have picked a person who is having this thing, uh, the right qualification, the right domain, and another thing is, if one comes in, then that person should get a proper environment with the encouragement for the further spirit of cooperation and work. So one has to take care of, that is we are talking about management. So management has to look into it, and that is then and only then it is known as sound organization. And next one is, what is विजन एंड फोरसाइटनेस. विजन होना चाहिए और फोरसाइटनेस होना चाहिए, दूरदृष्टि होनी चाहिए. Vision, one is to finalize when we start our work, what is our vision. Vision could be towards society, could be towards organization, could be towards country, could be towards customers, could be towards जो आसपास रह रहे हैं, could be towards nature, could be towards many things, or all together, it can be all together. So that could be a vision of a management. And along with management, that management should have foresightedness, that uh, 5 year down the line, 2 year down the line, or 10 year down the line, what we need to do, what kind of situations may occur, and to ensure the ever changing environment and market demands, one has to continuously move and work with that kind of foresightness. So that will definitely influence in the positive manner uh, with of the working of the enterprise organization. Okay, then comes the last point, which is national growth and prosperity. Now, what is national growth and prosperity? Management has to efficiently use resources, which is uh, equally important and a kind of a contribution towards the national level. So according to Peter Drucker, who is an management professor in management, senior professor in management, he says like, management is a crucial factor in economic and social development. Definitely the development of a country virtually depends on the quality of management of its resources. कैसे वो quality मैनेज कर रहा है resources की, ये मैटर करता है. Now this kind of efficient management of resources is definitely a key to growth, to the company, to the economy of the country, and the prosperity and better standard of better standard of living of employees and general public as well. So here we have completed our 2 points. We have taken up 3 points. So last point is our elements of planning. What are the elements of planning and what we had to look into? Let us go through this. Planning, we can understand planning, it's a primary function of management, and without planning, nobody can, think of performing the job. If we try to perform the job without planning, then one may get little less success or no success at all, because if you won't plan or if you won't time your work, you won't be able to achieve the set target or goal. So this is the planning, and definitely it's a much needed process of deciding in advance what is to be done, when to be done, where to be done, how to be done, and by whom to plan. One has to look ahead, and which comes out with the flying colors for the future course of operations of an enterprise as well. So that is the significance or the impact of the planning. So, let us see the elements of the planning. First one is objective. Objective is like are the goals towards which all managerial activities are aimed at. Definitely, all planning work must be very clear in the terms of objective, which everybody has a realization and what proposed business activities are going to perform. Okay, then comes the forecasting. Now, what is the forecasting? Forecasting is the kind of analysis and interpretation of future in relation to the activities working of an enterprise. Now, what could be the forecasting? Forecasting could be like crude, अगर वो business oil से related है, crude oil के prices या raw material के prices, in short अगर हम commonly कहें तो रॉ मटेरियल के प्राइसेस क्या हो सकते हैं, नई टेक्नोलॉजी क्या आ सकती है, क्या कब चेंज ओवर होगा, क्यों, बिकॉज मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर में भी दैट वाज ओल्ड डेज जब 20-20 25-25 साल टेक्नोलॉजी चेंज नहीं होती थी. अभी हर 10 साल में एवरी एंटरप्राइज इज फोर्स्ड टू चेंज द टेक्नोलॉजी. सो फोरकास्टिंग प्लेज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल. रॉ मटेरियल कब कैसे कितना तेजी से बढ़ जाए, कब डाउन हो, कब हमको प्रोक्योर करके रखना चाहिए. So that the fluctuation of prices and fluctuation of many of the things, one has to keep an eye over it so as to forecast the coming business. और कहाँ कहाँ हम जो प्रोडक्ट बनाएंगे उसकी खपत कहाँ कहाँ होगी और उसके ऑर्डर्स हमको कहाँ कहाँ से मिलने हैं, वो सब भी फोरकास्टिंग में आता है. बहुत सारे पैरामीटर्स हैं जो फोरकास्टिंग में आते हैं. ठीक है. नाउ कम्स द पॉलिसीज. The policies requires laid down policies must be there so that everybody can understand the objectives of the business, and one should be clear with the policy part at every level, whether it is managerial, non-managerial, staff level, wherever it is. Okay. So then comes the procedures. Now, procedure has to be in the what is procedure? We know the manner in which each work has to be done is indicated by the procedure. It should be laid down in a proper manner. बहुत पहले ही वो हो जाना चाहिए. Procedure, one has to be clear to perform the job. है ना? Then comes the rules. So what are the rules? A rule should be very specific, and it is necessary for the course of action in a particular situation. If someone wants this, what is the rule? If someone wants another thing, what is the rule? So there are many things, many situations, specific situations where we need a definite guidelines of a definite action. So that are the rules. So these are very important. And what are the programs? Say these are very precise plans of action followed requires to follow in a proper sequence according to the objectives, policies, procedures. So this program has to take care of these objectives, policies, and procedures. Okay, seventh one we know the budget, and eighth one the project which management has to follow, which manager has to take it as a objective or a target, and then the strategies onto it that management has to perform the strategies for the same, and that's why we are dropping it to the उसको तोड़ते हैं अलग अलग टुकड़ों में, वो सब स्ट्रेटेजीज का ही पार्ट होता है. तो प्रोजेक्ट और स्ट्रेटेजीज एट द वेरी बिगनिंग मैनेजमेंट करता है. जब हमने बात करी थी प्लानिंग की, तो वो उसी स्टेज पे सब चीजें आती हैं. Okay, hope things are very clear with you. I'll